Welkom terug, dames en heren. Het is een beetje vol verwachting, klopt ons hart hier in de zaal. Mevrouw, u zit hier namelijk allemaal fans hè, van John Denver. U bent de hele nacht met hem bezig geweest, hè?
In de nette zin des woords.
Ja, maar ik had niet anders verwacht, mevrouw.
Nou, ik heb wel leuke dingen gemaakt. Ik promote hem al jaren. Gedichten kopiëren, muziek kopiëren, pamfletten ophangen waar hij optreedt.
Maar wat heeft u nu vannacht?
Geheeld, omdat hij veel pijn heeft. Ik ben healer, magnetiseur.
En hij had veel pijn?
Ja.
En waar voelde u dat?
In mijn hart.
In uw hart?
Ja.
Wat mooi.
Ja. Mi corazon.
Ja, prachtig. Mevrouw, u bent al wat langer met hem bezig, een jaar of 5.
Nou, ik ben al lid van 1978 van de fanclub. En dat is zelfs zo ver gegaan dat ik zelfs de Calypso, waar hij eigenlijk mee beroemd is geweest, na heb gebouwd op schaalmodel. Ik heb een foto bij me.
Het is ongelooflijk. Wat prachtig. Hoe lang heeft u daarover gedaan?
Dik 5 jaar.
Wat hebben mensen toch veel over voor hun idolen. En meneer, u had bijna een plaatje met hem gemaakt.
Ja, dat zou om exact te zijn 30 januari 91 hebben plaatsgevonden. Waren het niet dat de Golfoorlog dat wreed heeft verstoord. Maar wellicht zit er nog een kans in voor een volgende keer.
Maar waarom zou u een plaatje met hem maken?
Ik ben zelf niet bij macht om goede muziek te schrijven. Omdat ik te veel met zijn muziek in mijn hoofd zit. En zodra ik de gitaar pak of een ding probeer te zingen, dan is dat meestal iets wat hij al ooit een keer heeft gedaan. Dus zodoende raakte ik met hem aan de praat en ik vroeg of hij een nummer voor mij kon schrijven. En hij vond het een beter idee om een nummer voor ons beiden te schrijven.
Fantastisch. Dames en heren, ik zal uw geduld niet langer op de proef stellen. Ik moet nog één ding zeggen. Ik heb net een foutje gemaakt. Het is namelijk zo dat het niet uitverkocht is in de Ahoy, maar er zijn nog een paar kaarten te krijgen, dus als u er naartoe wilt, schiet dan op. Maar ik zal niet langer treuzelen. Hier is hij dan, de grote ster uit Amerika, John Denver.
So kiss me and smile for me. Tell me that you'll wait for me. Hold me like you'll never let me go. 'Cause I'm leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back again. Oh babe, I hate to go. Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain, Shenandoah River. Life is older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like a breeze. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads. There's a storm across the valley, and clouds are rolling in. The afternoon is heavy on your shoulders. There's a truck out on the 4-lane, a mile or more away, and the whining of his wheels just makes it colder. Hey, it's good to be back home again. Sometimes this old farm feels like a long lost friend. Yes, hey, it's good to be back home again. It's cold here in the city, always seems that way. I've been thinking about you almost every day, thinking about the good times, thinking about the rain, thinking about how bad it feels alone again. I'm sorry for the way things are in China. I'm sorry things ain't what they used to be. But more than anything else, I'm sorry for myself, 'cause you're not here with me. You fill up my senses like a night in a forest, like the mountains in springtime, like a walk in the rain, like a storm in the desert, like a sleepy blue ocean. You fill up my senses, come fill me again.
Beautiful. Oh. We enjoyed it a lot, John.
Thank you.
It's so funny. You had a lot of hits in the 70s. We would say in Holland you were a kind of hit machine. What happened? What happened? It broke down?
Well, in some ways, I suppose so. Some of the machinery of all of that, the complexity that the business is, how big a business it is, many of those things broke down. For me, I think that I'm writing songs as good as ever. I think some of the best songs that I've written are in the last 10 years, and most people have never heard them. I think that I'm singing better than ever, and that unfortunately doesn't have much to do with having hit records.
No, but why isn't it a hit then? Are you
you see-
longing for a hit?
Oh, it's frustrating to not have some of the songs that I've done recently that I think are very good, not have that acceptance or not have the exposure. It has to do with getting on the radio. But you see, there are so many songs that I have that are still a part of radio's rotation. So many of the songs like those that I just sang, or Rocky Mountain High, Calypso, Sunshine, that they're still playing. So many more new artists who are trying to get on the radio. And why play a new John Denver song when we have all of these old songs that we know people want to hear?
You are very moved always by things around you. You are supporting environment projects. You have written songs about it. Maybe this is a question that goes too far, but do you think that we can avoid the final decline?
I think that we will soon find out. I think that in our lifetime we will determine whether or not we're going to be able to deal with that final decline, as you say. One of the things that I notice about human nature, as has been evidenced this past week in Los Angeles in our country, and other spots around the country, quite often we wait until a crisis to deal responsibly with certain issues that are right there in front of our face that need to be dealt with. A lack of opportunity for people in certain parts of our country and certain parts of the world, poverty, racism. These are issues that need to be dealt with straight away, honestly, and in a way that changes the situation for the better for everybody. And that could have been done many, many times in the last 10 to 15 years in our country, but it was not done.
Are you supporting one of the new guys who are running for president now?
No, I don't think... Groucho Marx. You remember Groucho Marx?
Yes,
the
yes,
Marx
of course,
Brothers?
Marx Brothers. Yes.
He once said that any club that would have him for a member is probably not the kind of people he wanted to hang out with. So I feel like in this day and age that anybody who would run for president in the United States is probably not qualified or capable of being the leader that we need right now.
But on the other side, he's maybe the only one who really can do something about all this problem. The president. Because
well, but only if he chooses. And I think that, you know, George Bush is a good man. He's a friend of mine. And yet he calls himself the environmental president. He's done very, very little to help the environment since he has been in office. He doesn't even plan on going to the Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro. I'm going to be attending that. Leaders, heads of state from over 80 countries around the world are going to be there because they recognize the importance of the environment in relation to everything else that's going on in our world today.
Are you going to sing there too? I'm
going to sing there. I sing in one concert with Placido Domingo. Another concert is with some other popular artists. And I'm hosting what is called the Global Forum that will be taking place at the same time at the United Nations Environmental Programs Conference.
You wrote a new song for it, special for the conference?
Well, not especially. There's a song on my newest album called Amazon. I have been very privileged, and I think you may have mentioned it in your introduction. I've been privileged to be called the Voice of America many places around the world. And I take great pride in that. But it was in Australia, driving through a rainforest that was being decimated by construction crews, road builders, loggers, and like that. And I thought how much more I would like to be a voice for the planet, a voice for the forest, a voice for the ocean, a voice for these things which perhaps do not have a voice and need one.
Are you a religious man? Because in Holland, all your records we can hear mostly on one religious station.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. It surprised you?
Well, yes, it does. I'm a very spiritual man. I'm not a religious man.
What's the difference between religious and spiritual?
Well, I heard a definition. I'm not sure it's accurate, but it rang a bell for me. The definition was that religion was about fear and guilt, and spirituality was about growth and I don't know, growth in something. Well, maybe
growth
silence.
And silence, maybe. Yeah.
But I think that I'm not sure that I agree with that. My experience is that religion is the form that you give your spirituality, and in some places in the world, and I have great respect for all of the forms, except when I notice those forms being the grounds to separate people one from the other, as opposed to bringing us closer together.
The fascination you have with space, has that something to do to be closer to God or whoever you may be?
I cannot be closer to God than right here where I sit.
Okay, but where comes your fascination from with space?
Well, my father was a pilot. I've always been enamored with flying. I'm a pilot myself. Yeah. And from the time I was a small child, I remember once laying on the farm that my father was raised on in Oklahoma, lying one night and seeing the stars like for the first time, and just overwhelmed by what I could see out there, what I could visualize, and wondering what that had to do with my life. How was I connected and a part of that?
You were supposed to be one of the members of the Challenger, which crashed in 1988. Huh?
I was one of the catalysts for the whole citizen in space program getting started in our country. And until President Reagan said that they were going to send a teacher first, I had every reason to believe that I was going to be on that flight.
What did you think when you saw this Challenger explode?
Well, it was a great tragedy for our country, for our space program. I certainly felt the loss of those people who I considered friends and real heroes in the world. And I felt very, very badly for our space program, that the damage that accident would do to our space program.
But do you think, I mean, this week, they build the Endeavour. It's going up in the air.
The Endeavour was supposed to go tonight.
Tonight, yeah. And you know, it cost $3 billion to build that shuttle again. I mean, Isn't it better to spend it to something else, to the
No,
poverty
you see,
or the...
that's the reason that I wanted to fly in space, that we have so much to gain out of our space effort. People still question why we spent so much money to put a man on the moon. And they don't realize that back in 1970 dollars, that there was a $7 return for every dollar we invested in that effort. And the return was in the peaceful development, research and development of new technology, things that we take for granted. The whole of what's going on with computers in our world today, the age of information, which is what the 90s is called, is a product of our space effort. And how much better to have the research and development of new technology, which will help us not only communicate with one another better, but to understand ourselves better and to understand our planet and its workings better than the peaceful exploration of space. And right now, right now, I think the biggest problem in the world is that there is we're on a downhill incline, in my opinion, everywhere in the world. And there is at least one generation, if not two, of young people who don't think it can get any better. And if we turn our world over to a generation or two of people who don't think it can get any better, and we're going downhill at the time, we're signing our death warrant. So while it's still in our grasp, we have to do something to get young people interested in education around the world, to recognize that any world that they can envision at this time is still capable of being created.
Why aren't
but it's
you
their
running for
responsibility.
president, John?
Well, I don't think politics is the way to do it. I think singing is the way to do it, and maybe flying in space. That's what I wanted to go to space for.
John, there are some questions from your fans, and one of the most fascinating question was, you are a family man, really. Is it true that you cut your kitchen furniture in half when you divorced your first wife?
That's not true.
You're sure?
It's
But you know that when there is smoke, there
pretty
must
close.
be fire. Oh, it's pretty close.
There was not smoke.
Okay.
It's pretty close, it's not accurate, and I prefer not to talk about it unless I have the time to tell the whole story, which I don't think I have time.
We are running out of time, so we have to make an end. You are going to sing for us a new song. Is the writing of this song, was this influenced by your second divorce?
No, I wrote the song before Cassie and I got divorced. But it has to do with our relationship. You know, all the songs that I've written have come out of my own experiences, both the joyful and the painful. And it's a healing thing for me, I suppose, to be able to express myself, but even more so to try and say something in a way that people out there in the world recognize, you know, that they're not alone in the way that they feel, that other people are going through these same kinds of things. And quite often, that's the best thing about the painful songs, is to have people out there know they're not alone.
Okay. I'm very glad you're going to sing for us one of your new songs, Different Direction. John Denver, thanks for coming. Thanks.
They say they love each other, I've no doubt they do. They say they'll always be together, that may not be true. They come from different places, different points of view. They find themselves in different spaces, everything is all brand new. Two different directions, too many different ways. One always on the road somewhere, the other one always stays. Too often unhappy, too often on your own. When you are moving in different directions, true love is all alone. Old stories start to surface patterns from long ago, and loving quickly turns to anger for reasons they don't even know. The strongest heart can be broken with one insensitive word. The deepest feelings remain unspoken, no one seen, nothing heard. Two different directions, too many different ways. One always wants to work things out, the other one wants to play. Too ready for changes, too much that just can't wait. When you are moving in different directions, true love can turn to hate. If opposites attract each other, what's the reason for? One being like an open window, one just like a closing door. Two different directions, too many different ways. One likes to see the morning sunrise, the other one sleeps in bed. Too many tomorrows, too many times too late. When you are moving in different directions, true love may have to wait. If you are committed to different directions, true love will have to wait.
Dames en heren, dit was het weer. Volgende week zijn we er weer en ik zou zeggen, doe eens iets onverwachts. Ga niet te ver uit elkaar. Tot volgende week. Dank je.
True love will have to wait.